What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue here with our 2023 predictions. The Ole Miss Rebels are up next. Let's take a look at some of the other predictions first here. The FPI has them at 7.6 and 4.4. Athlon went with 8 and 4. The over/under is at 7.5. So maybe this is one of the easier teams to predict. Everyone right there in line with about 7.5 wins. So 7 and 5, 8 and 4. That seems to be the consensus here for Ole Miss, and I tend to agree. I think 9 and 3 is a possibility. I think 9 and 3 is actually probably more likely than 7 and 5. But 8 and 4 right there in the middle. We'll see what happens. This is a team that I think is going to be good. I think offensively they're going to be very dangerous once again, as long as Lane Kiffin is calling plays and they continue to use that transfer portal. Judkins is back at running back, and then you've got maybe the deepest quarterback room in the country with Jackson Dart, and then an experienced Spencer Sanders, and then Walker Howard. So, I mean, they've got plenty of options at quarterback, that's for sure. Whoever wins that job will be very interesting. I think my prediction is that Jackson Dart will win the job. I thought he did a nice job for them last year. He's already had a year in the system, but, of course, Spencer Sanders, a transfer coming in. Maybe they both play. I don't know how that's going to play out. And then defensively, that's going to be where they potentially struggle. I think they're going to be improved a little bit this year, but that's still not going to be a strength of this team. So those are my thoughts. Let's get to the schedule. They open up with Mercer. That's going to be an easy win. Then they'll play Tulane after that. This is a very intriguing matchup here. Tulane, of course, beat USC, won the New Year's Six Bowl last year. And they've got a decent amount of players coming back this year, including their quarterback. So this is going to be a good team. This is going to be probably a top 25 team. Again, I don't know. Now, they could absolutely be back at a New Year's Six Bowl, but I don't know if they finished quite as strong as they did last year. I don't think this team's quite that good, but still a very, very good team. And I think this will be a tough one for Ole Miss playing on the road. But I think the speed, the SEC speed of the Rebels, I think there's just going to be a little bit of a difference here in the talent. I know Tulane beat USC, but I still think that Ole Miss is just going to be the better team. It'll be close, come down to the wire, but I think Ole Miss finds a way to get it done, and they get off to a 2-0 start. Although Lane Kiffin hasn't always been the best in these close game situations, so that'll be interesting to see how he performs in the close games this year. Georgia Tech coming up on September 16th. The Yellow Jackets, I think, are headed in the right direction. They finished strong last year, but they're not going to have the offense to keep up with Ole Miss. I think the Rebels will win this game and get to 3-0. Then they'll play Ole Miss on September 23rd. Ole Miss will play Alabama on September 23rd on the road. Going to be a tough one, obviously. Always tough when you play Alabama. The line of scrimmage might be the difference here, and that's where Alabama is still going to have an advantage. I think it's going to be a totally different Alabama team, a team that is more of a smash mouth, run the football, play good defense type team. And they'll probably kind of play keep away from Ole Miss, if I had to guess. And I think that probably works out, especially playing at home. Defense comes up with a couple of stops. I think Alabama wins a competitive game. But I just think, again, line of scrimmage, that's where there's a difference in these two teams. The physicality of this Alabama team makes a difference, and they get the win. In a good game. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but maybe it's a 10-point win for Alabama, something like that. Ole Miss next on September 30th. I keep saying Ole Miss. LSU is next for Ole Miss here on September 30th. This is a home game, and it's a big opportunity to get a huge win. I think LSU is going to be a top 10 team this year. They talked about this a lot in the past, how Alabama can beat teams twice because they play Alabama, they're so beat up, then the next week they lose again. And that could possibly be what happens here. But I do expect a shootout. LSU's going to have an explosive offense. This team should go back and forth. Should be a great game. But at the end of the day, I think LSU gets this win on the road. Close one, maybe even a one-score game, but I've got to go LSU. I just think they're the better team. They play Arkansas next on October the 7th. This should be a good one. Probably another high-scoring shootout type game. Can the passing attack for Arkansas keep up if they have to keep scoring? A lot will be asked of KJ Jefferson in this game. Both teams are going to be able to run the football. You might see 500 yards rushing in this game total. Maybe more than that. I don't know. But both teams are going to want to run the football. I think both teams will have success running the football. So I think it'll be a high-scoring game. When I say shootout, I don't mean they're going to air it out. I just think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think Ole Miss wins at home. I think they get it done. Close one, very close one, maybe even an overtime type game, but I think the Rebels get the win there. Then they'll play Auburn on the road on October 21st. Just a really intriguing matchup. You got Hugh Freeze playing his old team. You've got Lane Kiffin, who almost went to Auburn last year. Just a lot of storylines in this game. I just don't think Auburn's going to be there offensively in year one. I just don't think they're going to have enough to keep up. I think Ole Miss wins this game. It's close in Jordan-Hare, always a tough place to play. I think Auburn will make this a game, but I think Ole Miss, again, just too explosive on offense, and they find a way to get the win. After that, it's Vanderbilt on October 28th. You know, you look for a potential letdown from Ole Miss after a couple of big wins. You got Texas A&M and Georgia coming up after this. You could see them come out and struggle in this game. This could be one of those games you turn it on in the third quarter and it's a tie game or something. But I think Ole Miss will find a way to get through it and get the win. They're just the better team, and I think they get to 6-2. Next up is Texas A&M on November the 4th at home. This is going to be a good one here. I really like this Texas A&M team. I just did the predictions for them the other day, so you probably already saw the results if you watched that video. But I do think they're going to be a good team this year. Playing at home might be the difference for Ole Miss and the offense for Ole Miss. Can Texas A&M score enough points to keep up? I think they'll probably try more of the Alabama strategy, and it might work, and they might get this win. But I'm going to pick Ole Miss. I think they do win at home, and then after that they play Georgia on the road. I think you get a similar story to the Alabama game, the physicality, the line of scrimmage. That's where Georgia's going to have a big advantage. Ole Miss does have to have the type of offense that can give teams like Alabama and Georgia some problems. So because of that, I don't see Georgia just going out and dominating and blowing Ole Miss out. I think Ole Miss, even on the road, finds a way to make this game interesting, but not too interesting. I do think Georgia wins by at least a couple of scores. And so that's going to put Ole Miss at 7-3. They play Louisiana Monroe after that. Should be an easy win. So we'll go ahead and put that one down as a win. So that gets them to 8-3 before playing Mississippi State on the road. I think people are really underestimating this Mississippi State team. I think, the loss of Mike Leach is a big deal, obviously, for this team and their success. But they bring a lot of guys back, and I just think people are underrating this Mississippi State team. They're not going to win the SEC West. I'm not saying that, but they're going to be a quality team, and I think it's a fairly even matchup. I think Ole Miss probably is the better team, but they're playing on the road. It's the Egg Bowl. These games are always crazy. I just think Mississippi State gets the win. They pull off the upset at home, and that's going to give Ole Miss their 4th loss. So I've got them at 8-4. I could definitely see this going a little different. Maybe they lose to Auburn on the road, or they lose to Texas A&M and they beat Mississippi State, or maybe they pull off the upset over LSU. I don't really see them beating Georgia or Alabama, but beyond that, where the other two losses come from, again, could be LSU, maybe even Arkansas, Auburn, Texas A&M, or Mississippi State. However it winds up happening, or even Tulane. I mean, I don't think Ole Miss is guaranteed to win that game either. So a lot of tough games. I just don't see them getting through this schedule much better than 8-4. Like I said, maybe they get to 9-3. That's probably the best case scenario. Maybe they beat Mississippi State, and the rest of this goes how I showed here. But I think 8-4 is what this team is going to do. I think it's going to be another solid season. Maybe not quite the jump that Rebel fans are hoping for, but when you play Georgia as a cross-division game, when you play Tulane and Georgia Tech, makes for a pretty tough schedule. And with this schedule, I've got them at 8-4. What's your prediction? What are your thoughts on this Ole Miss team? Give them to me down in the comments below.